Hello, everyone. We have recently gotten several phone calls asking the question about how soon after I get my green card can I apply to become a citizen. My name is Raluca, Hanea. As an attorney, I provide immigration, estate planning, and family law in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Nina Clear, my marketing and office manager is here with me. We thank you so much for all your likes, shares, and comments as they help other people to see our videos.
Okay, so we talked about this in another video, but recently one of your clients, because of your great work, got their green card, right?
That's right. He had gotten a notice of intent to deny. That's a letter he received from USCIS. And I responded to that letter for him. And I am so happy that instead of getting a denial, he got his green card. Actually, in a week, he got his green card after we responded. So now, and also he got his permanent green card instead of his conditional one.
And his question was, when can I apply to become a citizen, right?
That's right.
Okay, so what was the answer?
Before I give an answer, I do want to remind you all that on these videos, we can only give broad advice. And if you want answers about your specific circumstances, you really need to talk to an attorney, and which we are happy to do through a consultation. So often we have people who don't consider their individual circumstances, and I try to remind people that immigration is not a one-size-fits-all, and your individual circumstances do make a difference and may make it so that these broad answers do not apply to you. For this client, we can apply to become a citizen in 3 years.
Okay, and does he need to wait for 3 years from the date that his card was issued?
You can usually apply within 3 months of that day. You must meet certain qualifications, but as long as you do, you can file 90 days before your green card anniversary. There is a calculator on the USCIS website, and we'll put a link to that, which tells you when you can apply as long as you meet certain requirements.
Can you explain that a little?
Yes, it might be most easy to understand if I give you an example. If your card says resident since April 1st, 2019, then you will need to wait until January 1st, 2022 before sending in your N-400, which is the document you send to apply for citizenship.
Okay, and what are the circumstances for him specifically that makes it so he only has to wait 3 years?
First, he received his permanent green card.
Okay, so if he had gotten his conditional green card, would he have to wait longer?
Maybe. Some situations allow you to count the time of your conditional residency in your calculation, but I would consult with an attorney to have them review your individual circumstances so they can direct you about what you need to do based on that.
And also to remind everyone, this is how it is today in April 2019.
Yes.
But that can change at any time. USCIS can update their policies, or applications can be changed, everything. So it's really always good to review the laws and the applications to make sure that what you're doing and what is applied to you is most recent at the time that you do it.
That's true. And USCIS updates their forms and policies quite often in the last 2 years at least. So make sure you are looking at what is current when you apply.
Okay, are there any other circumstances that made it so he could apply in 3 years to become a citizen?
Yes, he has obtained his green card through marriage.
And how does that change things?
If you get your green card through another family member sponsoring you, or employment, or even the diversity lottery, you usually need to be a permanent resident for 5 years before you can apply to become a citizen. However, if you marry a U.S. citizen while a permanent green card holder, you may be able to apply for citizenship in 3 years. There are also other limited circumstances that allow you to apply in 3 years, like refugees, asylees, and victims of abuse can. For each of these, I highly recommend that you consult with an attorney to be sure you meet the qualifications.
And when you must wait 5 years, can you still send in the application 90 days before the 5 years?
As of today, yes, that's what the rule is. But I mean that you need to check at the time when you apply, so you make sure that the law and the policies are the same as they are today.
So there was a person who called your office, and they said they had gotten a letter saying they were approved for a green card in September, but then they didn't get the actual green card until March, right?
Yeah.
And which date would they use to determine when they could apply for citizenship?
They would need to use the date on the green card that they received.
And where would they see that date?
It is on the front of the green card, and it says when the card expires as well as the resident since date.
Okay, and so the letter was dated in September, but the card didn't say resident since September. It said resident since March or whatever date they issued it. Then you would have to go by the date it said resident since.
Yes, that's right.
And what about if you get your green card through marriage and it's a permanent green card, but then you get divorced before you become a citizen? Does that impact the time at all?
Yes, it can.
How?
When you receive your green card through marriage and then apply to become a U.S. citizen, you are doing that 2 years earlier because you're married. So if you're no longer married and did not meet the married 3 years requirement, then you must apply at the 5-year mark instead.
Okay. And isn't there also a requirement for people to live in the United States for a certain time period before becoming citizens?
Yes.
Will you tell us about that?
Sure. You cannot have spent more than a year outside the United States. You must live in the state in which you are applying for at least 3 months before you apply. And you have to have lived in the U.S. for at least half of your required time, and you need to have maintained a residence here for at least 5 years prior to applying.
Okay, and what does that mean, lived in the U.S. at least half of your required time?
Again, this rule is very case specific. So if you have lived outside the United States, I would consult with an attorney to determine if you need to wait to apply and when you're eligible to apply.
Okay, a few other questions we've received about green cards. One is, what if your green card has expired? Do you need to renew it before getting your citizenship?
While you can apply with an expired green card, I don't recommend it. Only because you usually won't have a legal right to work or travel. I mean, you have the legal right to work, but you cannot prove that you have the legal right to work or travel internationally if your green card is expired. And the citizenship application takes a long time, so you will not have this proof until you get your citizenship.
Okay, and what about if you apply before your green card is valid? Like is expired.
Mm-hmm.
So so your green card, say it expires in March. I don't know. I'm trying to think but it expires before they process your citizenship. So your green card's valid, you apply, mm-hmm. and then before you get a response, your green card has expired.
Expires. Well, usually you can use the I-797C notice of action as a receipt, the receipt that you received when you apply to citizenship, as proof that you are still here legally.
Okay, so basically that notice of action will extend the green card until you become a citizen?
Yes, usually does.
Okay, and what about if someone became a green card holder and then left the country for 10 years? Do they need to come back here and live for a certain time before they can become a citizen?
Yes, they still must meet the residency in the U.S. requirements.
Is there anything else that might impact you or a person being able to become a citizen?
Yes, there are a few. I can mention, for example, as a male of a certain age, you must register with the Selective Service, also known as the draft. Also, you must file and pay taxes owed every year. Finally, they want to ensure that you are a person of good moral character.
And what does that mean?
Well, there is no specific definition in the law of what good moral character means, but there is a whole list of items that USCIS will look at. And the biggest thing people ask is if an arrest will keep them from becoming a citizen. Usually USCIS will determine if the offense for which you were arrested has the possibility of over a year sentence. But keep in mind, they will also look at things as small as traffic tickets that you plead guilty to and receive the sentence of 12 months or more, or even less.
Okay, so you don't need to be sentenced to a year.
No, just that you could be.
Okay, and I know that USCIS just changed their policy about marijuana use, and that's something you'll probably do a video on in the future, because they mentioned that that is looked at for good moral character.
Yes, so even if that, we'll talk more in another video, but yes, even if marijuana is legal right now in certain states, if you apply for citizenship, they can look at that and you can be denied based on that.
Okay. And there was also a few people who asked if there is a time limit on how far back your criminal record is viewed or is reviewed by USCIS. Do you know?
Sure, it depends. Some crimes will permanently bar you, such as murder. Some will make you deportable. And yes, USCIS is only supposed to look at the past 5 years. However, if you have one conviction, even if it's a speeding ticket, and they can review your whole history, and anything else on your records can be considered as a reason to deny your application. So keep in mind, USCIS is told to use their discretion, and that is why nothing is 100% assured when you're applying. So as a general rule, I would recommend you do not apply within 5 years of being convicted of a crime. And if you do have a conviction within the last 5 years, I would definitely recommend you use an immigration attorney when applying.
Okay, and finally, can you tell us what people should do with their actual green card?
By law, you are required to always have it with you. However, I recommend that you make at least one copy of it and put it in a safe place, and make sure someone knows where it is, or give a copy to a friend.
Why is that?
Replacing it is very expensive, and if you are arrested and you don't have it with you, it is helpful if someone else can bring a copy to the jail for you to prove your legal status. Thank you all for watching today. We really appreciate your likes and comments. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, as we're always here to help. See you next time.